Tonight, we are going to explore something terrifying. Not terrifying in the way of monsters or disasters. Terrifying in the quieter, deeper way that only the universe can manage, the way that leaves you standing in your kitchen at 2 in the morning, staring at nothing, rearranging everything you thought you understood about your own existence. Tonight, we are going to look at our size, our true size, not the size of a body, or a city, or a civilization. The size of everything we will ever be able to touch, visit, or reach, measured honestly, against the full scale of what is out there. And the number, when it finally arrives, is disturbing. Step outside on a clear autumn night and look toward the constellation Andromeda. With patient eyes and a dark sky, you will find a faint smudge of light, barely there, almost imagined, easy to mistake for a wisp of cloud. That smudge is the Andromeda galaxy. It contains approximately 1 trillion stars. It is the most distant object a human being can see without a telescope, and it is 2.5 million light-years away. By the end of this night, you will understand exactly why those 4 words, 2.5 million light-years, represent something more than a distance. They represent a wall that no version of humanity, however advanced, however patient, is likely to ever cross. Stay with us. This is worth understanding, slowly. Let us begin where we always begin, at home. The Earth is a rocky world, 8,000 miles across, orbiting a star at a distance of 93 million miles. Light, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, crosses that distance in about 8 minutes. This already exceeds the intuition of most human beings, but it is, by cosmic standards, a short stroll across the room. Our solar system extends to the edge of the Oort cloud, the vast, diffuse sphere of icy bodies that forms the outermost gravitational boundary of the Sun's influence, roughly 2 light-years in every direction. 2 light-years. To cross the entire solar system from edge to edge would take light more than 4 years. Our fastest spacecraft, launched with all the engineering ingenuity of the 20th century, would take tens of thousands of years to make that same crossing. The Milky Way, our home galaxy, contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars spread across a disk, roughly 100,000 light-years wide. Our Sun sits about 26,000 light-years from the center, in a quiet spur of the Orion Arm, a pleasant, unremarkable address in the galactic countryside. To cross the Milky Way at the speed of light would take 100,000 years. At the speed of our fastest probes, it would take 2 billion years. And then, beyond the edge of our galaxy, separated from us by 2.5 million light-years of almost complete emptiness, sits Andromeda. For most of human history, we did not know what Andromeda was. Ancient astronomers recorded it as a nebula, a cloud, and left it at that. The question of whether it existed inside or outside the Milky Way was genuinely unresolved as recently as 100 years ago. The debate was settled in the 1920s by Edwin Hubble, working with the Great Telescope at Mount Wilson Observatory in California. By identifying a specific type of pulsating star, a Cepheid variable, whose brightness fluctuates with a predictable rhythm, Hubble was able to calculate Andromeda's distance with unprecedented precision. The answer was unambiguous. Andromeda was not a cloud inside our galaxy. It was an entirely separate galaxy, vast and distant, existing in a universe that had just grown incomparably larger than anyone had imagined. In a single measurement, the known universe expanded from one galaxy to many. It has not stopped expanding since. We now estimate the observable universe contains approximately 2 trillion galaxies. Andromeda is the nearest large one, and we cannot reach it. Here is something that sounds violent and is actually, on reflection, strangely beautiful. The Milky Way and Andromeda are falling toward each other. They are approaching at roughly 70 miles per second. In approximately 4 billion years, they will collide. Not in the way 2 cars collide, crumpling and tearing at the point of contact. In the way two enormous ghost structures pass through each other in slow motion, their gravity reaching across millions of light-years to pull and distort and reshape everything. The individual stars of the Milky Way and Andromeda will almost certainly not strike each other. The distances between stars, even in the densest regions of a galaxy, are so vast that a direct stellar collision would be almost miraculous. If you scaled the Milky Way down to the size of Europe and placed all its stars proportionally, each star would be smaller than a grain of sand, separated from its nearest neighbor by hundreds of miles of empty air. Two such collections of grains, sweeping through each other, the odds of any two grains colliding are essentially zero. What will collide is everything else. The vast clouds of gas and dust that drift between stars will crash together, triggering pressure waves that compress the gas until it ignites. New stars will be born in enormous bursts, stellar nurseries fired into life by the violence of two galaxies meeting. The sky, over any surviving world during this period, would be ablaze with the blue light of newborn suns, a spectacle with no precedent in the current universe. The spiral arms of both galaxies will be torn apart by tidal forces. Long streamers of stars will be flung outward into intergalactic space, drawn out by the gravitational interaction like taffy pulled between two hands. The beautiful, organized structure we currently call the Milky Way will be destroyed, dissolved into something chaotic and temporary, before gravity reasserts itself and draws everything back. Over billions of years, the two galaxies will oscillate, passing through each other, separating, falling back together, merging more completely with each pass until they settle into a single, stable structure. Astronomers call the result Andromeda, a large elliptical galaxy, smooth and featureless, without spiral arms, without the organized disk structure that both galaxies currently possess. At the center of this new galaxy, the two supermassive black holes, Sagittarius A star at the heart of the Milky Way, and the even larger black hole at Andromeda's center, will spiral toward each other over millions of years and eventually merge, releasing an outpouring of gravitational waves that will ripple through spacetime itself. The Sun will likely survive all of this. The Earth, if it has not already been consumed by the Sun's expansion, may survive as well. But the night sky, over whatever world looks up at that point, will be unrecognizable to us. No Milky Way stretching overhead, no Andromeda smudge in the direction of the constellation bearing its name. Instead, the diffuse, gentle glow of an elliptical galaxy containing 2 trillion stars surrounding the sky in every direction. But here is where things get strange. All of this, the collision, the merger, the birth of Andromeda, will happen whether we are here to see it or not. The universe does not require our presence. It does not wait for our instruments to be ready or our telescopes to be pointed in the right direction. 4 billion years from now, Andromeda and the Milky Way will embrace, and nothing about human civilization, its presence, its absence, its triumphs or its failures, will influence the outcome by a single second. And here is the deeper strangeness. Even if we survive long enough to watch it happen, we cannot go there. We cannot go to Andromeda. We cannot visit the collision from a safe distance, park ourselves in intergalactic space, and watch the show. The distance is simply too great. Light takes 2.5 million years to cross from Andromeda to us. Any spacecraft we build is limited, by the fundamental laws of physics, to speeds below the speed of light. Even at a significant fraction of that speed, faster than anything we have ever built, faster than anything we know how to build the crossing, would take millions of years. Every civilization that has ever existed, every technology ever imagined, every lifespan that has ever been lived, none of it adds up to a journey of 2.5 million light-years. The proposals that might seem to offer escape warp drives, wormholes, shortcuts through folded spacetime remain, at present, in the territory of mathematics and speculation. They require forms of energy or matter that may not exist. They violate constraints we do not yet know how to violate. They are the universe's way of showing us the shape of a door while declining to provide the key. We can see Andromeda. We can measure it, map it, calculate its mass, predict its collision with our galaxy down to within tens of millions of years. We understand it in the ways that physics permits understanding, and we cannot go there. This is not a temporary limitation waiting to be overcome by cleverness. It may be permanent. It may be the deepest wall the universe has placed around us. And yet, consider what we have actually done. From a small, rocky world orbiting an ordinary star, using instruments made of metal and glass and silicon, powered by electricity, generated by burning ancient organic matter, we have calculated the distance to a galaxy containing 1 trillion stars. We have predicted, with confidence, when 2 galaxies will collide and what will happen when they do. We have weighed a black hole 4 million times more massive than the Sun without ever going near it. We have seen, in the light arriving at our telescopes, the universe as it looked billions of years before the Earth existed. We are confined. That is simply true. The speed of light is not a suggestion. The vastness of the universe is not a problem to be solved by sufficient determination. There are places we will see and never touch, events we will understand and never witness, galaxies we will map with perfect accuracy and never visit. This is our condition. It is not negotiable. But confinement and comprehension are not the same thing. We are confined in body and boundless in understanding. We are imprisoned in a small corner of the cosmos and in possession of the laws that govern all of it. We cannot go to Andromeda, but we know, with certainty, that it is there, that it contains 1 trillion stars, that it is falling toward us, that in 4 billion years, the night sky of some world will blaze with the light of newborn suns, born from the collision of 2 galaxies. That is not nothing. That is, in fact, extraordinary. The universe is under no obligation to be comprehensible. It did not have to arrange itself into patterns that minds like ours could detect, equations we could solve, structures we could map, and yet it has. The same physics that makes the crossing to Andromeda impossible also makes it knowable. We are not shut out of the universe's secrets. We are only shut out of its distances. The next time you find that faint smudge in the autumn sky Andromeda, patient and enormous and unreachable, do not feel small. Feel precise. You are the thing in the universe that knows what that smudge is. You are the part of the cosmos that looked up, measured the light, and understood. That is enough. That has always been enough. Good night, and keep looking up at the stars.